Hey guys, further to the fuel economy, I just want to give you an idea of a few things you can do to get better fuel economy if you're chasing that. If you race around, like most people do, with your right foot hard on one or hard on the other, you're going to use more fuel. See all these cars here, they're already stopped at the red light. They used more fuel getting there. They used brakes as they arrived at the lights. We didn't use our brakes. We took our foot off the accelerator well before we got to the lights, and we were able to lightly re-accelerate because the lights were green when we got there. So look, it doesn't always work out that well, but sometimes it works out better. So that's probably the average. If you want to get good fuel economy, don't be in a hurry. Obviously, like always, allow your engine to warm up before you start pushing it. Look ahead at the lights, see what's going on in the distance. If it's regular areas you're driving, you'll get better at it, working out, what's going to happen with the lights. Keep your distance behind people. It doesn't matter how close you are, you're not going to get there any quicker. There's no point jumping around changing lanes of traffic these days. It's just what it is. You can make some wise decisions about what lane to be in at what times though, right? So looking ahead up this road, well in the distance, we've got a green light. This is one that we always normally get caught at a red light, but maybe not this time. So there's no point. With this one, it's not going to make a good example, but quite often we're successful in looking ahead and going, okay, well at this one we won't, sometimes you've got to keep up to the speed limit to get through it. And this was probably, see, as I said, it's gone orange now, but we're off the gas already. Some cars would be still accelerating coming up behind you. So in this case, we've used a bit of brakes. Like I said, it wasn't going to be the best example, but I hope you get my drift. A lot of you already know what I'm talking about. And for those that don't, have a think about it. Take your time. That doesn't mean dribble around and get in everyone's way or whatever. But if you're looking at a red light, there's no point being the one that's accelerating up to it to then use more brakes, because you're just using more brakes, more accelerator, more fuel. It's not as good for the environment, the health of people. It's not as good for your hip pocket and wear and tear on the vehicle. Once again, all right guys, so I'm going to give you another example. Here's an area where we've got some big hills. There's a set of lights just back there. Everybody takes off at the lights like a rocket, burning up their fuel. And then they come racing down this hill here and they need to be on the brakes. You can see the car ahead. Well, you may not see now, but there was other cars that turned off. Normally there's more. Look, we use the hills a bit, okay? We're going to roll with it. We're going to roll with the flow, and we'll let the vehicle slow down going up the hill and just gently, steadily back onto the accelerator. Keep it smooth, you know what I mean? So it's better for the vehicle wear and tear wise, better for your engine, better for your economy, which is it's not just about money, but the environment and everybody's health as well. Keep it clean, drive it right, happy days. Hey guys, so we're just cruising along, moving with the flow. Hope you get my drift. We've got a green light, so we're just cruising, but we keep a bit of distance. We don't need to be aggressive on the accelerator pedal. Keeping it calm means you're going to use less brakes and everything else as well. We're in a 60 zone here and we're doing a good 60, but it's not fast enough for some people because we've got cars both sides of us going past, and over the hill they're probably just going to find a red light or slower cars, whatever. So what we would do is, at this point we're seeing brake lights, so we're just back. I'm off the gas completely, right? So of course that's how you save fuel. See, as suspected, because guess what, I've been around a little while, been driving a little while. So we're off the gas, we're doing 55, we haven't used the brakes, and we're just cruising down the hill. We're probably going to use the brakes, but at least we didn't use fuel like these other guys unnecessarily. Look at that, and a red light. So the sooner we start slowing down for that, the more likely, it's not going to happen this time, but the more likely we're going to have a chance of not needing to stop and being able to keep moving. And we do make use of the left lanes to keep moving, so into the left lane we go. And all those people that are in a hurry, they're back there in that traffic, and we're not going to cruise through this one, but the lights will change shortly and we'll be off and away again, pole position, patiently. Okay, so we got away, we're leading the pack, haven't changed lanes, we're through that green light. We can see another green one, we can see a red one, so what's the race? So the deal. We're off the gas completely at a good distance. Looking in the rear view mirror, we can see a lot of other vehicles gaining fast. You may see them in the right lane. As close as we are to those cars, you just didn't quite get it. There's a black Subaru over in the right lane. He's stopped now, so they went ahead of us and they've stopped already. Once again, it doesn't always work out perfect. Look at that, it went green. If we didn't have these cars here, we would have cruised through. But point is, that red light ahead, that's about to change. I was going to say, already did. Guys, you need to just slow down and read ahead if you want to drive with and get better fuel economy. Look, you might not care. If you don't care, that's fine. We already lost you already. This is for the people that care, right? Like I said, the few things it's going to save is your vehicle. So your tyres, your brakes, your fuel. Who likes stopping in the servo, putting fuel in more often, just, you know, racing around? It's going to save you an insurance excess. By keeping a good distance and slowing down, you'll be a safer driver. Read what's happening ahead a little bit better. You're going to save fuel, which is going to not only save you money, but like I said, the environment and people. Because at the end of the day, you know, it is emissions and that. The more right foot you use, the more emissions you make. And of course, always taking into account a lot of people can't drive, and that's what's happening right here. So we're in a 60 zone and we've got this blue car up here going down the hill on the brakes. Had to stand to about 40. I don't know what that's all about, but we need not worry about that, because look what we've got here, another red light, funnily enough, and these guys are going to take long enough to get going again. So we're just going to cruise up nice and slow again. We use minimal fuel, minimal brakes, and that's what you want. It really does make a big difference. And when the traffic's not here, the cars in front of us are not there, you'd be able to just cruise on through. If you look ahead, that's the big key one. When there's lighter traffic, that's where it works better. If you read ahead and get to know your lights and, you know, how long they take to change. And look, you know, you see a red light. We're looking well into the distance now. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but approximately 400 meters up the road, there's another red light. It's always red. You just about always get stopped there. It's going to be red for a couple more minutes yet, so we're probably going to get there and have to stop. So we're not going to race up there and burn fuel and dodge cars and change lanes and risk causing an accident or damage or something, to then just use more brakes and come to a stop. You know, there's no advantage to doing that. So look, I hope you get my drift. So as you're approaching the next sets of lights, look, you don't really know what's going to happen. So all you can really do is, you know, you just cruise, as you should for safety. Hey, this is a driving lesson, right? Not just about fuel economy. You know, speed camera, red light camera, you know, so just stick to the speed limits. There's no need to race around, but keeping a good distance, good for safety for a lot of reasons. So it doesn't make any difference if we're sitting back here or down behind, right behind those cars pushing to get through, because most lights are synchronized that you're gonna, if you get through one, you'll get through them all or not. Not always. Sometimes they're pretty dodgy setups. Again, down over here over the railway, guaranteed we're stopping at a red light. The key is we didn't race and we got all that extra distance to slow down without using any fuel to get there or any brakes to stop, etc, etc. Right guys, so just because we're driving safely and for fuel economy doesn't mean we need to take forever to get going. So like this, keeping our distance, we've allowed in the distance of lights to change, they're green, so we're going to cruise on through. We do like to keep a clear lane in front of us sometimes. This vehicle in front of us is slowing down. I suspect maybe they're going to turn right. You have their indicators just gone on. So that's wise on their behalf to slow down before the turn, because they know they're going to be stopping. But they could have put their indicator on a bit sooner as well. But you get that. You're lucky to get any indicator at all. Anybody overseas watching, this is in Australia obviously. I don't know what it's like for you guys. Probably gets crazier a lot of places, that's for sure. But yeah, there's pretty average driving these days. It's definitely getting worse. Here we go. What do we got here? We've got a car. Look at that one. There's an example for you. Oh, you know, we just pull over half on the driveway. Exactly what I wouldn't do, because someone's going to try and drive down the left lane because you're not completely off it. You're about, you know, blocking 20%, and it just takes someone to do that, and someone close behind the car behind them, and they're going to run in. You know, the car behind's not going to see. The car in front's going to move to the right of the lane. The person in the car behind could go to the left. They're going to hit the back rear corner on the right hand side of that car and push you into someone or anything, or who knows. That's why I hope you understand why that is dangerous. Again, you know, we're down to about under 40 k's. It's the Sunday afternoon, people can't drive thing, so you've obviously got to take it easy. But what I was trying to say is, You know, just because you come to a stop and you're at a set of lights and we're driving for economy and to save fuel and safety sort of thing should be the priorities, it doesn't mean you have to take off slow and dawdle. You can get going. You can either be on the gas for a long time with less pedal, or you can get on it a bit, you can get to speed, and then you're off it again sooner. So whichever way you look at it, as long as you're not tearing around too crazy, it's not going to make a big difference whether you get to speed really annoyingly slowly or whether you do it a bit quicker. Anyway, we'll keep, if we get a bit that's worthwhile showing you, we'll keep it going. Alright, so while we're cruising down here, we're looking at we've got a green light up there, whatever, so looking ahead, there's a bit of traffic. There's no point getting up there pushing along, the usual thing. I hope you get the picture. Just trying to help you get some better fuel economy and look after the vehicle a bit better and stay safe. But a couple other things that affect fuel economy, well, a few other things, we'll go through those. Your biggest one is probably weight. You know, I mean, we're talking Prados and Hiluxes. Every vehicle's different. Aerodynamics are one thing, so let's go back to, we're driving a 120 Prado 2008 at the moment, so the things that affect fuel economy here is weight, particularly with every time you start and stop, do you know what I mean? Which is why it's good to avoid that having to come to a stop. Even if you slow down to, you're in a 60 zone, you've only got to slow down to 30 and you gently accelerate back to 60, it's a lot better than coming to all the way to a stop and start. You've done half the acceleration again, if you like, and the more weight you've got, the more that makes a difference, because once you're up to speed, that's where you're going to use a lot less fuel. Getting there is what uses fuel. Okay, so weight getting going, and also up hills. So if you're carrying a lot of weight when you come to hills, that's where the vehicle's going to work a little bit harder to get up the hill and therefore use fuel. The other things are wind resistance, you know, aerodynamics. So in that case, the faster you go, the more fuel you use. So again, talking about the four-wheel drives, you know, they're a pretty square, high vehicle already. You can see we've got a view over the vehicle in front of us. FG Falcon there. Pretty good aerodynamics compared to a four-wheel drive with bull bars and roof racks and awnings, and you know, people have generally got lights and light bars and all these things you throw on reduce your aerodynamics, therefore costing you fuel. So you really got to consider, you know, less is more and what accessories you really need, because you're going to pay for it in the long run. That flat platform that just went the other way on the Range Rover, Rhino rack, pretty aerodynamic. So you got to consider flat racks. I'm not saying they're cheap, they're very expensive. I'm not saying they're good or bad at this stage. We'll get to that in another video. This is more about the fuel economy and how you can get better fuel economy. So if you're not regularly using stuff in the vehicle, you're better off to take it out. You don't want to be everyday carting around stuff that you don't use. This vehicle's primarily a touring vehicle, used for R&D, and you using it and driving it for what it's used for, so what it's designed for. So all the gear that's on and in it pretty well gets used or needs to be there on most drives. Otherwise it stays at the workshop, and so we're not going to take things out and off that we're not driving. I suppose like the everyday commuter could be doing a few 100 k's a week getting to work and back, carrying gear you don't need. So take out what you don't need, and just keep an eye on your aerodynamics. And so speed plays a big part, because the faster you go is more wind resistance, okay? So it's a bit of a scientific mathematic calculation, wind resistance versus horsepower to maintain what speed and all that sort of thing. So with these sort of vehicles, anything over 100 k's is going to cost you fuel. You're better off keeping it around the 80-90 k's. Well, don't be annoying on motorways in metropolitan areas sitting on 80 or 90 k's. You know what I mean? Sort of do the speed limit. But if you're out on the open road, and look, that's the other thing while we're at it, no need to speed up on overtaking lanes and make it hard for people. If you want to go slow, be considerate, look for the other drivers that want to get past, and you know what? Slow down when they're going past instead of speeding up. That'd be awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to move into a clear lane, because we much prefer that. And we are getting onto a motorway, and we prefer to be doing the speed limit so that we can blend in with the other vehicles and the other traffic, not like these people dawdling along. And I'm not too sure why they keep it to 80 k's there as well. because the rest of the motorway is 100 k's. So the traffic coming up here, they're doing 100 k's, and the on-ramp is 80. Well, at the moment it's a variable speed limit, so okay, so the whole thing's 80, but I'm not too sure what they're doing actually. I think most of them are doing 100 anyway, but there you go. Anyway, guys, I hope you get the picture. Watch your speed. Keep it under 100 if you want fuel economy. Less is more as far as accessories go, aerodynamics, and keep the weight down. And so the combination of the accessories is weight and reducing your aerodynamics. So if we see any other pointers for the fuel economy video, we'll add it in there. Okay guys, so here's a good example. We've just moved off from a set of lights, and you can either race off at the lights to get to the next red light, or you can just move off gently. And, some people are going to get frustrated, I suppose, and they need to race past and get down there, but this is kind of a good example, right? Yeah, and they can cut in front of you, who cares, right? But they took off, they burnt the fuel, they used the brakes, and whatever, right? We're just cruising, we're doing whatever the traffic's doing, and that's it. Look ahead. That was a pretty good example. Not so good here because we're stopping again anyway. Look, Sunday's a crap day. I don't know, peak hour's a crap day and all that, isn't it? Unfortunately for those people who've got to do that. Luckily I don't have to drive in peak hour traffic usually. But look, we didn't use the brakes, we didn't stop, we're just putting along slowly. They're all dawdling along, the usual sort of thing. But we're getting along and we're doing economically. Gently on the gas and the brakes, okay? So I think that pretty well concludes our fuel economy video. I hope you get the picture. I know about half of you watching this are probably subscribed and the other half aren't, so we've got a lot better videos and information coming your way and already on our channel, so check that out. If you subscribe, turn notifications on so that you don't miss out on the next video and you can keep up to date rather than fall behind. Lots of important information coming your way. Alright guys, have a nice day. See ya.